back, I built an $8.7 million software company while I had a full-time job. And this video is going to tell you step for step exactly what I did to do that. It's split up into 6 phases. Phase 1 is defining the problem that you want to solve and taking action on it for the first time. So there's tons of ways to figure out the problem that you want to solve, but you have to solve some problem for some person. And the way a lot of people do this is with their full-time job, they get exposed to a bunch of random scenarios. For example, like most jobs in the world are to solve a problem for somebody. So even if you work at McDonald's and you're flipping burgers, the problem that you're solving is that restaurants need somebody to flip burgers. And while you're flipping burgers, there's probably a bunch of problems in the kitchen that you could solve. For me, I worked at a company and I was doing sales. And part of sales is to understand the problem that a customer is experiencing. So I listened to a lot of problems and I picked a problem that I had an idea that I could solve. So whatever you're doing, even if you're a student and you've gone through life, you've probably encountered some type of problem. Just define the problem. After you define the problem, draw it out. This is the first time where you're going to take action. In order for you to do anything that you're going to see in this video, you have to take action, and this is the first time in this process where you will. Grab a napkin and just draw out the first screen in a box. What does that screen look like and what buttons does it have? Now, if you were to click on one of the buttons, do an arrow to the next screen and draw what that looks like. It doesn't have to be perfect. You'll go into it not really knowing where it's going to take you, but just commit 30 minutes to doing that. And I promise you, you'll end up with a page full of screens. It doesn't have to be perfect, but congratulations, that was step 1. The point of doing this is you have to have something tangible to show somebody, because defining a problem isn't actually taking any action. You haven't really started even if you've done this. So this is the first time where you've done something. Next is learn Figma. Figma is this like software you can get started for free. It's what product designers use, or anybody that builds things for the internet. They use this to create an illustration of what that thing is going to look like, what all the screens are going to look like, and what all the buttons are going to look like. So it gives you a visual prototype of what you drew on your napkin. If you want to go a step further, you can actually build the application in Bubble. You don't really need to do this. This is going above and beyond, but you can actually build the software in Bubble. This allows you to build drag and drop no-code applications that are meant to be prototypes or MVPs. I know people that have paying customers using this platform, and they've even raised money building prototypes with Bubble. So you can use Bubble if you want. Figma is more than enough, because what you're going to need to do with your prototype is go to YC co-founder matching. Odds are if you're watching this video, you might not know how to code. You need a co-founder. Your co-founder needs to know how to code. YC co-founder matching is Tinder to match people who know how to code with people who don't know how to code. As the business co-founder, you bring the idea. The technical co-founder brings the expertise on how to make it come to life. That's very traditional, basic binary version of what a co-founder is, but YC will connect you with a bunch of people. You can create a profile for yourself. I have, there's a Telegram link down there where you can connect with me, and I can show you how to build a profile on this application in a way that actually attracts the right talent. And yeah, have fun. It's Tinder. It's like Tinder or Hinge, but for people with business ideas or that want to get started. A lot of these people have full-time jobs, and so they're doing this on the side, but it's a good place to start. Pick your co-founder. They got to know how to code. That's true. There's a lot of people that you'll meet on that app that will claim to have a team of developers, or they can do architecture. All of that is expensive and it's not going to get you anywhere. At this point, you need somebody that knows how to write code, and even if you raised a bunch of money, they still want to write code. So just focus on people that write code and nothing else. This is where you're going to get started for the first time. So start to build with your co-founder. You've created a lot of mock-ups, collaborate with them on the mock-ups. Start to build. It's not going to be great. It's honestly not going to be very good at all. But remember, it's a prototype, and do not chase perfection. Just start building and build something for you to use. This is going to really test you. So you're likely going to loop through these things quite a few times before you get matched with somebody that can code at the caliber that you're looking for and that can build a good, reliable product. I spent about a year here. I went through a few co-founders before I found the one that I built the company with. And the idea pivoted a few times throughout this, but get used to this iterative approach. The number one thing that you have to make sure that you don't do here is give up. It's going to be so easy because you'll use the software for the first time and it's probably going to suck and it's not a good feeling. But if you stop there, then nothing else is going to happen. It's going to stop there. So just please don't give up at this point. Keep building, keep building, keep building. Don't stop building. Next is phase 2. At this point above, most people don't even get that far. So if you got to the point where you're building, that's great. If you haven't got to the point where you're building, just stay locked in on getting the thing built. One of the hardest parts is getting the thing built and sticking along for the process long enough to actually see it come to life. So just don't give up. Next, for phase 2, is start drinking your own Kool-Aid. This is just an industry term people use the things that you build yourself. You're going to be the first person to give it feedback. Don't chase perfection. It's not going to happen. 2 years, I've been doing this for 2 years and our product is still rinsed with bugs and issues. 10 years from now, it will also be rinsed with bugs and issues. This is not going to be, it's not going to be perfect here. And you're going to also think it's not good enough for people to use. That's fine. The biggest mistake that business co-founders make at this stage is that you think you need a finished product before you can sell it. And that is false. You don't need a finished product before you can sell it. And most of the time, you can actually sell an idea and not even have a product yet. So just focus on revising and improving the obvious things that you encounter using the tool yourself, but just don't chase perfection. Next is give people you know access to the software that you built and get their feedback. And then you have to decide if their feedback is good feedback or if it's bad feedback. This is going to be the first time that you encounter what's called the customer feedback loop. Everybody calls it different, but there's a feedback loop here. And the hardest part of all of this is picking what feedback to implement or prioritize. So the basic way that you can make that decision is the feedback that you're getting repeatable across multiple users. That means if you have 5 users and somebody gives you a piece of feedback, will the other 4 people use it? Even if one other person uses it, that's fine, that's enough. Yes, implement the feedback. But if nobody cares, keep track of it, but forget about it. Just focus on this in the early stages. There will be a lot of people that argue this point and saying that doing this is going to help you niche down even further. I don't think you should be focused on niching down. If you're watching this video, you need to get started and you need to get rolling. So just focus on what's repeatable for now. You can niche down later. So that's phase 2, is learning about the customer feedback lifecycle. Phase 3, and executing on it. Phase 3 is your first paying customer. You have to focus on in-person events only. The trade show that I went to, that got me my first paying customer. It was called Collision. You can also go to Web Summit if you're in Europe. Collision happens in the summer in Canada. It's a startup conference, and I brought my computer monitor, my laptop, and I demoed the software prototype that we had built to about 150 people. Of the 150 people that saw the software, about 30 people gave me their emails, and about one person paid me $20 for it. And so, yeah, I mean, it works. If you don't want to go, you're going to have a much harder time finding a paying customer. You can try DMing people on LinkedIn. Every 100 messages sent, expect to have 1 to 3 replies. This is outbound sales. Very hard to do. There's softwares that automate it. Do not buy any of the softwares. Just do it yourself. You can also, one thing that's not here is knock on business owners' doors. You can do that too. Next is Reddit. You're reading that right. You'll make 150K off Reddit. All the social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, those are all places where people go to brag. Reddit is the one place where people go to be vulnerable and complain about the problems that they have. And whenever somebody has a problem, especially as a business, they'll likely pay money to solve that problem. So go find all of the people that are experiencing the problem that your product solves and comment on their post that they made complaining. You'll book a ton of calls. It's great for SEO because when people type that problem into Google, that Reddit thread will show up, and you don't even need to have a website at that point. Just focus on interacting and building communities within Reddit. There are agencies that promise you to do this. Do not pay them. They're junk. Reddit will know the difference between somebody who's being a salesy person, just trying to book meetings with people and like kind of shove their product down people's throats, and actually helping the community. If you want to figure out how to do one versus the other, the Telegram down below, like we go deep into like what my Reddit strategy was, how I did it, and actually like showing you the comments that got us meetings. This booked us meetings for like 4 months straight. Got us our first 150K. So anyway, Reddit's great. Next is you'll have customers at this point, but your product won't be mature enough to make all those customers happy. So expect that 1 in every 20 customers is completely happy without actually having to get your help using the software or reporting a bug. So you have to do the manual work that your software aims to do automatically, but you have to do it yourself in the background. This is normal. It's just called propping up your product with your hands. Just do this. You have to do it, especially as the founder, because this right here is going to tell you where there are holes in your product. It's going to have your development team laser focused on the right things. And you're always going to be playing catch up here. If you're better like product manager, maybe you won't experience this issue if you have like PM experience, whatever. I didn't. Never interacted with developers before in my life. This is just what happened. The product wasn't good enough, and it wasn't because our developers weren't good enough. It's just because imagine having to build a product to serve a bunch of customers and everybody's happy. It's not going to happen right off the bat. So focus on that. Focus on propping up the manual work yourself. At this point, your most important job here is to become obsessed with the feedback that your customers have. Your customers are your everything. They are more important than your friends, your family. Your customers will feed your family for future generations if you treat them right. Which is true. You have to become obsessed with your customers and what your customers are asking for. And I'm just going to come back here. Make customers happy. You just have to make customers happy, and the way to make them happy is by listening to their feedback and implementing their feedback. Just do that endlessly, obsess over it completely, and dedicate everything that you have. This is the point where most of you will need to quit your job. So yeah, that's phase 3. Phase 4 is what do you do with this revenue? What's going to happen? So phase 4, your revenue at this point, there's all these different companies that will tell you like what growth will look like and whatever, but if you've gotten this far, your first stint of growth generally looks like 1.5x to 3x, every single month over month, until you hit about 20K in MRR. That's on a ticket offer under $1,000. This is just what happened to us. It lasted about 4 months or 5 months until we got there. YC has the statistic where it says minimum 7% over a week over week. We never tracked week over week, but you could. But anyway, this is likely what you'll encounter if you do read it correctly. And yeah, this is also the point where it becomes really difficult to scale. However, this is where your company will become investable. And you'll have to make a decision. Do you want to have investors invest money in your company, or do you not want that to happen? If you do want people to invest in your company, this is a good time to do it, and you'll become a VC scaled business. And if you don't want people to invest in your company, you'll become a lifestyle business. There are pros and cons to both. All of my friends run lifestyle businesses. They're pretty free, personally. As a VC scaled business, you have people to answer to, aka your investors, and people to explain your decisions to and your spending. Whereas a lifestyle business, you own the company with your partner and you two can make every single decision. It's not like this, you can't make decisions, but you'll have to explain your decisions to people, whereas this, you don't have to explain anything to anybody. Pros and cons to both. I can talk endlessly about the pros and cons. So if you want to join the Telegram, that's down in the description, you can. Because I talk a lot about what it's like to be at least this. So next is phase 5. This is the best time to raise once your revenue is doubling. After like 2 or 3 months in a row of growth, it's the best time to raise. Fundraising, it's all about momentum. And if you wait too long, that momentum eventually will slow down. I promise you, it will slow down. Once you hit about 20K or 30K in MRR, things will start to slow down unless you have like an insane profit margin where you can hire and hire and hire. But if you're doing all of the things like focusing obsessively on customer feedback and implementing things and onboarding all of your customers, like, you're going to be spread way too thin at this point, and you'll likely start to experience your first bit of scale issues here, which will cause you to slow down. And if you're asking somebody for millions of dollars when your company is slowing down, they're not going to give it to you. So you have to make sure that you time it right and you start raising when your revenue is multiplying every single month. And then your first round can be done on a safe. I talk a lot about this in Telegram, so we'll meet there and we can talk about it. Phase 6. Phase 6, you would have raised at this point. And I'm only talking about the things that I've done. So I never did the lifestyle business route, so I can't talk about it. I'll have a lot of my friends in Telegram who have done the lifestyle business, so they can talk about it. Phase 6. By now, you would have done a lot, which is true. You'll have some capital, so you typically need to spend that capital on things that need to be done in the business. So this is where you choose what you want to do versus hire for. So a lot of folks want to do sales and want to work on product, but they don't want to do accounting or bookkeeping. So you can hire for that, or admin tasks, or whatever the case is. There is a right and wrong answer to choosing what you want to do, though. This is what you have to do as a founder, is you have to dedicate yourself to ensuring that all of your customers get onboarded correctly in customer success. This is the most important thing for any company at that stage. It's more important than sales. It is your everything. If you do this right, this will save you a lot of heartbreak and a lot of headache for the next few months. Churn is a metric. It's a percentage of how many customers of yours leave after they've paid you one time, or how many of your customers leave after they've logged into your software one time. And this is the metric that people ask you about after they ask you how much money are you making? And it can completely kill how much money you're making. If you're making 100K a month, but you have 100% churn, it means that all of those people are not renewing with you and they're leaving. So when you have zero churn, you have no problems, but you're going to have high churn. And when you have high churn, you're going to be desperate for new sales. What's the point of signing 10 new customers if 10 of your old customers are going to leave you? Focus on those first 10 customers that you signed, get them happy, make them happy before you sell, because otherwise your sales efforts are going to cancel out your efforts of a bad onboarding experience, and you're just going to be steady. And this is the leading cause of why people slow down up here, is because they've simply accepted too many customers that they can't even support the ones they have, and as a result they're losing, and they get stuck in this having to sell more software to make up for the customers that they're losing. That's a hard place to get out of. So anyway, yeah, just make sure that you and your team, you're just focused to making sure customers are happy and they're onboarded properly and they're happy and they're onboarded properly and they're happy, and get a tattoo or write it above your computer, write it on your laptop somewhere, but just onboarded and happy. Anyway, that's it. I can get you this far, but can't get you any further because I haven't been any further. This is where I'm at right now. And if you've made it this far, I probably want to know who you are. So there's a Telegram link down there where it's free. It's probably going to be free for more than the first 300, so you can ignore this. This sounds too scammy, so I'm not going to do it. But more or less, the whole point of this Telegram thing is, like, I talked about the YC co-founder matching profile, help you guys build that out. Reddit strategy is a big one. And then also, like, once you get to raising, like, that's a kerfuffle. I'll honestly, even though we've been through it, I don't even fully understand what we even went through to a degree. It's kind of confusing. So anyway, I'm here to help. That's how I built the $8.7 million company. Took about 18 months. But yeah, here we are. I'll see you in Telegram.